so far? It's getting close to kickoff. What are your thoughts about your group?
It was a work in progress. Guys are flying around. You can tell they're getting more comfortable with the techniques and the scheme and the terminology. So the communication is getting better, and the trust in their comrades out there with them on the field is starting to show up. So this is what you want to see right now.
Coming out of the spring, what were some of the things you guys needed to do as a whole?
Just those things I just touched on as far as communication, trusting the technique, and basically just trusting our teammates around us, that type of thing, and understanding our job and how our job fit within the defensive scheme. So some of the stuff coming out of that, outside of tackling, things and such like that, just the normal stuff, pretty good.
What is your prototypical cornerback on the recruiting trail?
Guys that make plays on the football, that can cover well and tackle, so obviously you love to have length and size and height and all that kind of good stuff with speed, but sometimes you just got to go for those little football players. So guys that can just fit in and make plays and things and such like that.
What are you selling to the recruits? What is your biggest pitch?
Well, it's easy. Once you get them on campus here, it sells itself. So that, along with our great coaching staff, Coach Smith put together a really good coaching staff, so it's really family orientated. So once they get here, see all what we have to offer with the facilities and everything on that aspect, and then understand and get the feeling of the coaching staff and how we just not just coaches. You got fathers, you got uncles, you got big brother type coaches. So the guys really take into that.
The week out, how does the room shape up in terms of the corners? How deep do you feel like you can go, and maybe who's still angling there with maybe Charles and some of those young
Yeah, well, all the guys are doing really well. So I'm at a point right now where it's just kind of you're letting the cream rise to the top. So we're deep enough to mix and match it with different packages and things and such like that, and kind of putting in strength. So whatever Coach Rossi wants to run defensively, we got we got a good enough mixture where we can have zone corners in, or man corners in, or blitzing corners in, whatever it may be.
How deep do you think you are? Do you have a number right now?
I couldn't really tell you a number like that right now. It all looks comfortable when you're going against the same color jersey all the time. So that's hard to say,
How has Ed Woods looked since you brought him in? He wasn't out here in the spring, of
Yeah.
course. How's he been acclimated to everything?
He's really great. He's been a really great teammate. He's really a quiet assassin out there. He's the kind of guy that says less and does more. It was what I really like. Has a chip on his shoulder. He plays and practices like he has stuff to prove, and I think he's going to be a guy to really help us be better in the back end this year.
And Brantley, you coached him in the spring?
Yeah,
How's he coming along?
Very good. Just trying to make sure that he protects himself, and him being a little slight in weight, but he's dynamic. He has speed, ball skills, high level of confidence. That's what I really like. He really believes he's a lot better than he may be, which is a great thing because he's hard on himself and he pushes himself to make plays.
How important has it been to maintain that West Coast pipeline?
I think it's been very important because the kids will come. Like I said, if you get them on campus here, then that's half the battle. So they will travel. The times are different now from back in the day when I was a West Coast kid coming here. Like, no way you'd get a West Coast California kid out here. Well, that's not true.
Yeah, you are.
Yes,
You're
I am.
Proof to that.
Yep.
It can happen.
Yep, it can happen.
I wonder about Rucker too, because he got
Oh, yeah.
a lot of experience as a young kid last year. What have you how have you seen his development?
Oh yeah, Chance has shown a lot of strides as far as being comfortable and going out there to try to make plays instead of just try to be in the right place. That's the next level for him. Is like, hey man, pull the trigger and go make a play. I understand that you understand the defense, but now let's go play some football too.
The younger guys,
Younger.
you brought in some freshmen.
Yeah.
Denson in your
Denson is with Coach Blue now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what have you seen from the young guys?
Both of the guys. Well, I got two new guys in my room. Is you got Andrew Brinson. Yeah. You said Denson, but Andrew Brinson, and then we have Keyshawn Williams. So both of those guys are really promising. I can't wait. They're just getting acclimated to the college level of things. I think a little bit more weight room time, stuff like that, they're going to be really special.
A lot of your guys, especially, end up making their first impact on special teams.
Yeah.
Do you have some of those younger guys between you and Blue?
Yeah, all
like
of
the true freshmen I'm talking about. Like they're going to be like, okay, we need to get this guy on the field.
Yeah, those guys are fighting. Good thing we are deep enough to where if they're not ready yet, we're not going to be pressed to have to do it. So hopefully those guys step up and take that role. They're getting the reps and they're in the depth. Let's see if they can be that guy. You know.
Coach, it's great having you as a part of the program. But on a personal note, have you had your aha moment that you're coming back home and having this homecoming after having such great travels in your coaching career?
Oh well, yeah, that was kind of early on, right before spring or right when I got hired. Basically it kind of came fast for me. It was surreal when I got the call from Coach Smith, and then he was like, "Hey man, how you doing?" You know, and the conversation started like that. I got chills. Okay, yeah. So, it's been great, man. Been welcomed with open arms, and it's been a real nice homecoming.
Yeah. How does that help you on the recruiting trail when you can give a little bit more personal insight to what this environment is like and things like that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it helps. It helps more so on the parent aspect when you're dealing with the parents of the aspect. Yeah, exactly right. So it's like, look, man, we could take. Guess what? We got Walmart and we got Target out here too.
Sure.
Don't think it's just there. You know, that type of thing. So you know what I'm saying. Just kind of understanding, like, hey, man, we could do the same things out here, and it might be a little bit more special because you are from the West Coast or from somewhere else. You know, that type of thing.
What has stood out to you most recruiting the Midwest, and most importantly, the state of Michigan?
That stood out to me the most is probably being like everybody got players. Everywhere you go, everybody got their pocket of players and things and such like that. You just got to go dig in and develop those relationships and get those guys in to come work for the Spartans.
So, Jeremiah Hughes, when he was in the portal, what did you see in him, and how's he been doing?
Position flexibility was the main thing that stood out. Him playing a lot of games over at the last place he was at from LSU. He played a lot of games, and then he did it at a lot of different positions. So he played a lot of corner, he played a lot of nickel, he played some safety, and he did special teams. So him, that was more, I guess, sexy or attracting, being that he has a few years left on his clock to be able to come play for us, and then he plays a lot of different positions. So kind of trying to cross-train him and see what all the things he could do, and hopefully it'll help us.
Cavazos, similar?
Very similar. I kind of knew him from back in the day when I was recruiting, and so it just kind of came up where he was leaving North Carolina, and it was like, hey, well, we're looking for a few guys that we can plug and play, and both of those dudes have been really great transfers, along with Ed. Those three have been tremendous for the room.
Any of those guys or corners in general that can go and play some nickel? I know that's not your position, but are they flexing in that?
Yeah, we're cross-training them all, and then we're going to see how it all pans out because Coach Blue has some pretty good nickels in his room already, so we're just cross-training them, and then, you know, how the season goes. It's a long season, and it's very physical, so we want to be able to be covered on all bases. Yeah.
We've been hearing a lot about depth and competitiveness at defensive tackle and inside linebacker. Same thing at corner, where it's coming down the stretch in terms of like who goes on the field to begin with, but
a
lot of player rotation.
Yeah, a lot of player rotation, which is a good thing because the style of ball we want to play, we want to play with a high effort all the time, so guys get tired and they won't feel bad about, hey, let me go catch a blow while my boy goes in there and take a couple reps, those type of things.
Is there anything about Rossi's defense that's unique in terms of the way the corners fit? You know, like Saban had his quarter turn back in the old days.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their little things.
Yeah.
They offhand jam with hard.
Yeah.
But is there anything with Rossi where they do with corners, or was it kind of universal in some ways?
I would lean more to saying kind of more universal, where Coach Rossi is kind of open to, you know, this is the scheme, this is how I want it to look, and this is how I want it to fit. You add your sauce into it as a position coach, so which is really cool, you know. But a lot of the things that I do are things that he want or that's on his film already from other teams that he coordinated. So he pretty much lets Coach Blue and I get after it and get those guys right.
Did you see Rucker and Brantley, once they went through the spring and got a handle on the new defense, have accelerated since then? Have you seen, even though they're semi-veterans, I mean, Chance is still fresh.
Yeah.
But have you seen those guys like
Yeah.
gain more traction?
Yeah, no doubt. They're out there with a lot more confidence. Like I said, the big thing when you get corners that can call out the coverage and call out the adjustments along with the safeties, that's you cooking with grease then. Yeah.
With you guys being like a week away, and that's like your first real test of the season, because scrimmages you can only figure out so much. How ready do you think the defense is, or do you just kind of go into the first game with no expectations? Like what? How? Yeah.
Well, I kind of look at it as like the quiet before the storm. That's how the guys are. That's especially after today's practice. That's kind of how they gave me a feeling. Like the way they came with their lunch pail and hard hats, ready to work, like it's getting close to game time. It was very encouraging for lining up against somebody else and seeing how they play.
With you guys being
I'm
only
sorry,
8
go ahead.
days, with you guys being only 8 days away, I mean, what are the biggest areas of emphasis just heading into this last final stretch of getting work in before the season starts?
I would have to say just being locked into the different situations, situational football. You know, just the key things. We've been so much on technique and our scheme, and now it's kind of getting into, you know, preparing for the opponent and things that they do, and then just knowing the situations that they may do it in. Mm-hmm. So those are the things that, as coaches, we're trying to get those guys prepared for. So it'll be second nature when it happens.
But also when it comes to situational football, doesn't it, some of it just has to come by the experience that you get in actually being put in different situations, right? Like you can kind of like paint or put up different scenarios and stuff, but some of it they just have to kind of experience it to learn from, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of the experience cures a lot, but you know, as coaches, that's my job to get them ready for those moments, and at least have introduced those moments to them before it happens. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. I
No,
appreciate
you're
it.
welcome. Yeah.
Other than Nick Marsh and Montori, who on the wide receiver room has impressed you as you work against those receivers?
Man, those guys, Hawk rolls them out there. Those guys get after it. You know, and obviously when you got a quarterback that can put the ball in hard places, it makes it really hard no matter who's out there. But you know, that whole room in there is pretty impressive as far as he has a lot of depth in there where he can do different things that he wants to do as far as those guys are getting after it, blocking, running routes, you know, on special teams. So I was like, man, all those guys as a whole, you know, are doing really well.
Second scrimmage, what were your observations with your group? What did you need to get done that day, and what was your final analysis?
Just kind of like the technical stuff of the techniques, getting our eyes, having sloppy eyes because we were being too nosy or too jumpy to try to make plays to impress because they're battling for position as far as first string, second string, or whatever they look at it. So that's where the technique kind of flew out the window because we kind of approached this game as like that last scrimmage as like, hey, this is a separation game. We're going to see who can do what. And then you notice some of the not paying attention to the smallest details within the techniques, trying to make plays and things and such like that. So now me as a coach has got to bring that back down because we're getting ready to go into a game. We don't want those same eye violations or hand holdings and things like that to show up.
I know that you have a hand in the entire room. Blue. Nikai Martinez, what did you see about him on film? How's he been doing?
He's a big time playmaker. The guy's he's a striker when he gets down in the box, and then he's very comfortable in the deep middle of the field or the deep quarter. He's a ball hawk back there. So, you know, obviously he's getting more and more confident within the scheme and communication and stuff like that. So it makes us more comfortable on the island when you got a safety constantly talking to you, telling you he's there and has your leverage. I got you. I'm gonna take that route. You take that route. Things such like that. He's coming into that. So I'm looking forward to
Dylan
that.
Tatum, he's still a safety, or is he a
Dylan
nickel
Tatum is
football?
playing. Yeah, he's playing a little safety and nickel. He hasn't been in the corner room since I've got here. So he's running around and hitting people. I think he's a sawed-off wheel linebacker sometime. I'm like, man, the way he fires around and is physical. We can't wait to unleash him at game time.
Is it left safety and right safety, or boundary and field?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Boundary and field.
yep.
And which
pretty
one
much.
is Dylan?
Blue cross trains him, so everybody plays everything. Yeah. So everybody plays
Looking
everything.
forward to getting the season going?
Yeah, no doubt. Let's get it going for sure.
In terms of preparing, you talked about preparing for opponents. Is there an additional challenge when it's the first game you haven't gotten any film of the other team yet this season specifically?
Yeah, that's always tough. You know what I'm saying? When you have a new opponent that you don't really know much about, and then especially now with the transfer portal era, I mean, it makes it tough to, you know, kind of imagine a guy or watch him for where he left from, and then imagine him in that offense when you didn't get to see it. So, you know, it poses some challenges, but everybody's dealing with the same thing week one.